Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. I'll give you my financial opinions. Again, if you need any help with anything commodity related, definitely sign up for the finding-value.com Platinum membership. We got a discount going on, quote, discount and coupon code. You can sign up. We have a Saturday, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time question and answer session for the Platinum members. So let's dive in here. Let's take a look, see what we got. I've got the DXY up. It is getting roasted to the downside. That is a tailwind for our commodities outside of maybe oil today. And we'll talk about that. DXY down. Stocks are going to like this. Commodities are going to like this. Everything's going to like it. That's dollar based as the value of those stocks. In order for it to remain the same, has to go up because the dollar is going down in a relative strength way. The 10-year yield going down 1.38%. This still, to me, looks like it wants to go lower. That is the perception that inflation is slowing down. The CPI numbers. Bond prices rocketing on up. Again, this is actually a good contrarian play if you'd like to play it, TLT, with the inflation going and pulling back. And then TYX also getting hammered lower. I still think this is going to go lower after breaking that uptrend line. And if you look, the 30-year fell a little bit more than the 10-year. So the curve is still inverted, but the curve is just dropping in its entirety. So the TYX to TNX is still dropping. Now, we've got weaker dollar, weaker yields, gold, silver, commodities. They like that. They like those types of market conditions. The overall CRB index, it's overweighted oil, did go down a little bit today. We're back at support. I still think everything looks all right, and it's more of just an opportunity. The fundamentals still look fabulous for, I said fabulous, I know, for oil. And we're in the season. I think normally it kind of sells off a little bit towards this time of year. But eventually this washout will end. And the drawdowns, if they're continuing, will put upward pricing pressure on oil and other commodities. CRB to S&P 500 is dropping down. I do think that there's a probability that we're going to get a pullback here in the short term where the stock market could outperform. We call this Batman. We've got the double Batman here where we could break out and come back further, maybe even further than where we have there in the ratio. Doesn't mean that commodities would go down necessarily, but this will be kind of the first wave. It pulls back, and then we get a big third wave. That third wave isn't ready yet. Not yet. We're getting close, though. We are getting really close for a big move in commodities. I can't tell you the exact timing of this thing, but we are getting closer and closer with time. Gold heading higher today, up $10. I think this looks fantastic for a move higher. We're bouncing off that support level, and the support level was holding today. So I definitely think higher, especially even for the stocks. They're looking good. Silver looking great. That looks like it wants to go higher. We've talked about this yesterday with this nice big kind of bullish engulfing yesterday. It's looking good. And then platinum also higher. That looks good for a move. So I think we're completing our return moves, and we'll see what happens here next. I'm very excited for a lot of different precious metals, commodities, because these things are looking pretty good. And hopefully I didn't blow it there by saying that, because sometimes the markets humble you every time you think you've got a rally going. XAU to gold ratio continuing to move higher. I'm a guy that likes to jump in early. I don't really wait for quote signals. I bought this bottom here, and I'll let everyone else wait for the momentum to catch up and buy when it's higher. I'm not a trader. I just cost average in when the ratios are cheap. And I usually make a lot more money than those guys. I'll just be honest. I don't know how they try to reduce risk by buying higher. I don't know. Whatever. GDX. This is GDX here. It looks fantastic, guys. Higher. Looking great. Hopefully this momentum can continue. SILJ also has that momentum behind it. I think it looks fantastic. We had the breakout, the retest, and this is usually when we get that momentum and grind on higher. Doesn't mean every day will be higher. Just means that we grind on higher. Crude oil getting smacked down. Now, we're still above support over here. We had these nice big wicks at the bottom. That usually indicates a move higher. We keep getting this. I don't know if there was news released today. I think it was news. We keep getting this news released down at this bottom here. Like somebody wants to push this thing lower. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you this. Oil is in a deficit. We can see it in the inventories. It's some of the cleanest, clearest pictures that we can see into inventories of any market. This will not be sustained for a very long time. Even if we break down and get a washout down here before heading higher, that is a fake out. It's a slingshot pattern. Our inventories are drawn down. So know that. Know that. Be confident here. If we see something dip down here, that is a last final washout of perhaps maybe this is an ABC correction. Even if we were to come down here and then rock it. So I am pretty bullish on oil. I don't know if we're going to get this washout down here. If we do, I mean, that's going to be one heck of a slingshot type pattern. Be ready for it. Look for it. If you guys are part of the Platinum membership, look at those companies that I really like. They are going to be leveraged. We haven't seen the companies fall that much. And that's what gives it, that's giving me a lot of confidence here saying, look, I'm calling a little bit of BS here on this oil price move. This is going to be a fake out before the breakout. Put it that way. Natural gas it was hitting it pretty hard this morning. It ended up 7.4%. We got a little wick at the top. Sometimes that'll reverse down a little bit. But I think natural gas is a great spot to be. A lot of the companies that are natural gas companies trade with oil as well. So we had a real mixed bag today in terms of natural gas and oil companies. They're confused on which way to go because natural gas was going in the opposite direction very largely versus oil. XOP, yeah, you know me, still looking good, still above support. We've got that bloody nose type pattern, even though we got slaughtered on crude oil. Crude oil got slaughtered and XOP is holding up. People are buying this. They're trying to get your shares. Screw them. You're not getting mine, guys. I'm going to be buying more. I'm going to get whoever shares are going to be selling. I'm going to be buying them up with whatever money I've got left. I'm going to be scooping up shares in XOP. Or I should say the individual companies. OIH as well, down a little bit. Even with a monster down day in oil, it's still looking very resilient and strong, and we've broken out of everything. This is the spot to be looking, in my opinion. Looking at Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, moving sideways in this trust, after breaking out, it is looking a little bit disoriented. It's just kind of moving sideways above support. Looking at URNM, a little bit more confident there, moving on higher, up 2%. I think that uranium looks really good, guys. It does. And I just don't know of the companies that are cash flowing. They're all very speculative companies. I own a lot of them. That's fine. But uranium looks really good. It is squeezing to heck. So there's a lot of opportunities in uranium in terms of chart patterns that look good. If you're willing to take on a little bit more speculative risk. I think the time is to be looking now at your favorite companies. TAN, also looking very strong. It was up 1% today. I think this thing's going to go higher. Looks fantastic from solar. COPX also rolling higher, looking pretty strong. We did our retest. Now we're ready to move on higher. So copper and the diversified mining companies are where I would be looking. And I'll go over those companies, some of my favorite that haven't really moved largely yet with the mid-week update today. I'll release that on the channel for the Platinum members. LIT moving on up. Again, this is just chopping sideways in a big pattern. REMX still moving up today. I think REMX is gonna do some crazy stuff. It's usually kind of it's pretty volatile and it's got a lot of oomph behind it. And I think we're going to start to get moving at some point here to the upside. I've gotten very positive on REMX and the rare earth metals. S&P 500 still moving higher. We could break here if we want. If the market conditions continue with a weaker dollar and weaker 10-year yield, I think we're breaking higher. I think we're going to break out of this downtrend. We're going to go higher. And this is much like the bottom here is very much like the early 2000s. Let's go back there and just take a quick look, guys. I'll show you where I think we are. I think that we could be somewhere in this range here, where we're trying to break down and move on up for another, double top type movement. Given where the interest rates go. So we could break here, come back up, and then go back lower. NASDAQ is doing the same thing. I think that this is going to try to break higher here if we keep the same market conditions that we've got going on. Weaker dollar, weaker 10-year yield. I think we're breaking higher. EEM with that weaker dollar moving higher, looking good for a move on up. Broken down trend, still looking fantastic. XHB also looking good. Today, up a little bit. I didn't look at the housing starts release. I'll have to look. I think home sales were up for new homes, from what I understand. Looking at MOO, MOO is moving higher. Again, I think we're going on higher. Everything looks really good here. For MOO, copper also on its support level. I think that looks good to go higher. It's looking good. We've got a retest done. Lumber moving sideways. I still think that will remain robust. Iron ore still consolidating in this corner here. We've got aluminum slightly higher, above support, still looking good. We've got the Baltic Dry Index, which is basically squeezing up into the corner here, looking very good. We've got Newcastle futures a little bit lower today. Again, this thing I think is going to have to try to find a bottom before moving higher. A lot of momentum behind it, but I'm still positive because we're in an energy crisis worldwide. And then Ethereum also putting a little bit of oomph behind it, up 3%. Will we break here to the upside? I've seen this pattern before. This whole pattern here where we go on higher. It's got a little bit of grinding sideways before we move higher, usually. But still, given the pattern, I'm still somewhat positive. I own nothing in this, okay? Don't get me wrong. I own zero in this. So that's what I've got there. So again, I'm still an oil bull. I think we've got maybe one last washout before this thing's done and we head on higher. Possibly. It may not wash out. It may be done. We'll see. And I've got my favorite companies. That's where my focus is. I'm looking at those favorite companies. I'm adding in a little bit on these moves lower. The companies aren't really moving that much lower anymore. They're kind of sitting there waiting for crude oil to be like, hey, look. The companies are saying, look, crude, turn around, man. Like, what are you doing? We know we're going higher at some point. Why do you have to go through this detour around? Natural gas looks strong. Uranium is squeezing up in a whole bunch of different charts. They're all coming to corners. I'm going to go over a lot of uranium companies for the Platinum members. A lot. And we'll look at the charts together. We also have a lot of silver and gold companies that look really good. We've got energy service and energy companies, even some fertilizers and aluminums and stuff like that look pretty good for potential investment. If you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll catch you guys we'll catch you guys tomorrow. This is Finding Value.